and welcome to the What the Shuck podcast. We are coming to you all from the top shelf Airbnb just above the Goodfellas Distillery District. I'm joined here by Jay Skaggs, and we're going to be talking a little bit about music, life, and just all the stuff that a typical musician may go through, or what his influences might be, and things that have led him to be hanging out with me at this Airbnb. But for those of you all who have never watched What the Shuck podcast or have joined us multiple times, essentially the goal of the What the Shuck podcast is provide a platform to people of Kentucky and Appalachia that are using their stories or skills in some capacity to make an impact through what they're doing. And my next guest is a fantastic musician, and I've had the chance to get to meet him today. That's our first time hanging out, so I hope you all enjoy this. I've had a really good time getting to talk to you so far.
I have too, yeah.
But Jay Skaggs from Boone County, Kentucky.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I like your mission statement.
Thanks, man.
That's nice.
I try to always include that on every episode. That way people understand, like, even if they're the first time listener or have listened to every episode, they're like, hey, this is what this guy's mission is.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think that's important.
No, it sounds great. I think that's about what I'd observe that you do.
Cool,
for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
appreciate it. Cheers, man.
Yeah, cheers. Here, let me get my old fashioned. Here.
Yeah, old fashioned.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, man.
I can't help but get involved here.
It is kind of. We have also a guest producer, Brad Becker, of Red Barn Radio. So Jay and I kind of were running a
The
little
eye
bit.
in the sky.
Yeah, the eye in the sky. But really excited to be joined when you. We've actually been friends online for like
Sure.
a couple years, I think. Actually,
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's kind of a lot of the time how it goes.
it is. Yeah.
In a lot of creative spaces, a lot of art scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I've been a follower of yours, for a couple years, and I think it's like that with a lot of people too. Like a lot of creators, I kind of have that relationship with where they kind of know me. Like, I mean, just last night I played a show at the Lantern with William Matheny, which I believe is how you pronounce his last name. If it's not, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry, Billy. But yeah, no, I mean, I technically met him on the internet, I guess, right? Like, but yeah, no, that's just how it happened. So I'm meeting you
Yeah.
today, and
man.
I met you on the internet.
Yeah, we've been interweb friends for a while, but we're finally meeting, and it's cool because we've had some really good conversations. I think that immediately I was like, all right, I like this guy. I like this one.
Yeah, we're coming from the same place, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And your music is I love the way you tell stories in your music. You have an incredible voice, but getting to meet you and just telling me stuff like I wouldn't expect most of my friends to know, but you're like, oh, that's Benjamin Franklin, or like that's, and I'm like, who's this guy? Like a walking encyclopedia, and you kind of are, man. So
I know some stuff. Yeah, I know a couple things, but
well, I think
I know a lot of useless information, but I think that's what you will find in an encyclopedia. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of information that you really don't need, but it's there because we have to write it down. So
yeah. Well, you're joining us for multiple reasons, but your music is like a testament to either your living or like stories you're telling through other people's perspectives. So kind of walk us through, like, the average listener or new listener, what your music experience is kind of like and why you do the music you do.
I think it's pretty personal. A lot of my influences are storytellers from different people's perspectives, but there are also a lot of poets, and I think a lot of poets are very emotional and really personal, and I think that I learned early or perceived early that what you do with writing is express your emotions. So that's where I come from, and it is only after being a part of a scene and meeting songwriters that I learned that it's not like that for everybody. But it really is oftentimes just sort of that kind of generic poet's description. It's like my diary, you know, it really is like that. Sometimes it's figurative, but yeah, I come to it. I don't ever have a day where I wake up and say that I'm going to write a song.
Mm-hmm.
I come to it if I do, because it's just who I am. You know, it's just how I learned to express myself from an early age.
So a lot of people would say that music comes from a muse, which I guess might be where the word music comes from.
Yeah.
But even the word museum actually comes from muse.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, but some people say it's different. Some people say you have to confront the muse and be like, I have to do this every day. Or some people say it just comes to me. And I think that's always interesting about artists or someone that's a business owner. Like, the best ideas sometimes just come out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. But when you're writing a song yourself, and you have a lot of music, so like, has this always been your way that you've done this? Or have you sometimes been like, I need to just write? Or has it literally always, you said this is who I am, so I would assume it's pretty definitive.
I mean, there's definitely times, I think that we live in a society that puts a lot of pressure on artists to present work. So there's definitely been some times, really more recently in the past few years, where I may wake up and have that outward pressure to produce something. But it usually doesn't happen, A, because I'm lazy. I don't, I set goals and I achieve them, but with something like songwriting, it's just so complicated, and I'm just too lazy to sit down at a desk and do that. If it wasn't just coming out of me, it certainly would not be happening. Because I really just,
So have you ever thought about that then? Sorry to interrupt, but have you ever thought about like potentially doing a new thing to be like, what if you tried a new thing?
Yeah.
And then you like all of a sudden wrote like your 10 best songs that you've ever written. And that's why I always am willing to do different stuff.
When you say try a new thing, what do you mean by that?
Like I'm going to write every day, no matter how I feel, or if I'm lazy, or if I'm energetic, but just like confronting that feeling of even being, you're kind of like, your brain is saying, I don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. But like that inner whatever.
I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
The discipline in daily tasks, and I just don't think it belongs in art.
I feel that, yeah.
Sometimes it does. Like, some of the greatest songwriters are disciplined and practiced writers. Like, but it's a duality. Mm-hmm. So it's a good point.
It just works different for everybody. That's why I'm always curious to hear what everybody says, because it's always going to be a different answer. Some people are going to be like, I treat it like it's a job, and I show up every day and I write a few hours a day, or they're like, it just comes to me.
I talk to people a lot that practice that way, and it depends on where you come from. And I feel like coming from the poetry place that I do come from, I'm always going to be feeling something,
So when did you like write your first poem? Like third grade, and you were like, your English teacher was like, oh shit, this dude's an Edgar Allan Poe.
Actually, I in the 6th grade, I wrote a short story. Okay. And it was really bad. It was very bad. And I was a young 6th grader. I was 11 years old. And the content was just bad. And looking back, it's like, I really shouldn't have known any of that. And the short story
So you mean like it was too mature for a 6th grader?
It really was, yeah. And to the point that my English teacher told my mom. And so the short story was about a kid that finds drugs and gets into drugs and was like, yeah, for real. For real. Yeah, the English teacher told my mom, and my mom was like, who's your drug dealer and stuff? And
oh my God.
I hadn't done any drugs, straight up. I just took in from the media, the films and things that I'd seen, music, so.
6th grade.
yeah.
In 6th grade, my teacher was like throwing me out of class because I like didn't have good enough penmanship.
Okay, yeah. So
that's awesome.
I'm definitely coming from that writer's place. Like literature is. I'm very driven by the emotional place. But yeah. So I mean that maybe was my first.
They're like, who is this, Chuck Palahniuk Jr. or some shit?
Straight up, yeah, right.
You're like, little Fight Club.
The what was that called? The Hidden Carrot. Those tales. Yeah, very much. Yeah.
You kind of remind me of someone that would definitely read Chuck Palahniuk.
I have.
I would imagine so.
A little while ago, when I was younger.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so you clearly are a musician, and usually I would be like, who are you influenced by musically? But I'm really curious about who you're influenced by as a writer.
Cool.
Like, I mean, have you?
Yeah.
Is that like what you draw a lot of your influence from when you write? Like I know you keep saying you're a poet,
Perhaps.
but like
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. I was really inspired. This almost feels generic, but by the beat poets. I feel like we are a pretty long way away from that at this point. But yeah, I was inspired by that quite a bit. And
I'm not familiar with the beat poets.
okay, yeah. Do you know William S. Burroughs? I was really inspired by Burroughs, the way that he writes and the way that he identifies. And people like Hunter S. Thompson. Hunter S. Thompson, he's a Kentuckian, and I feel like if there were a genre of Kentuckians, I would hope that I fall in Hunter S. Thompson's genre.
I could see that.
But
you seem very eclectic, but like your own style. Like
okay.
even though eclectic would be very
well,
wide,
everyone has a beat. Not everyone can drum. You know what I
Okay.
mean? If you can drum your beat and get people to hear your beat. So yeah, I think that eclectic is a way to describe me, perhaps. But in a lot of ways, I am also pretty conservative too. You know, but conservative writing, I'll read Hunter S. Thompson, but I also have the Book of Virtues by Roosevelt in my house that I like to keep around. And he was a horrible bastard, you know what I mean? So I'm around the spectrum of if it writes well, if it reads well, I like it. You know?
Have you ever watched the show Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like Larry David's like whistling some horrible bastard, like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And it's like Wegner, I think.
I know
like,
what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know the episode. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a Jewish guy that's like, you can't whistle that, like,
Right.
And he's like, I don't give a shit.
It's catchy.
And I was like, dude, Larry David literally
Yeah.
is just like the most savage person.
I
on
wouldn't
earth.
go that far, but yeah, in my personal readings, I'll read whatever. And yeah, certainly was inspired by beat poets and like traditional American writing too, like For Whom the Bell Tolls,
Yeah.
things like that.
Dude, well, I mean, I think that's incredible. I've been really blown away by your like knowing of all of this history of not only just like America, but of writing
And you know
I'm
what?
sure your
I spent
music-
5 years in high school.
Okay.
I failed a year of high school. So that tells you that, your ability to learn truly has nothing to do with the school systems or anything. It's been.
I mean, I've
straight
been
up.
very impressed.
Well, all right.
I like it. Because I said, so we're at an Airbnb, the Top Shelf, the one that I mentioned at the beginning. Shout out to them for letting us do this. But in their shower, it says join or die. And immediately Jay goes, Benjamin Franklin. And I was like, dude, I've like talked about this to many people.
And that's
they're like,
surprising. That
is
really
this a
surprises
cult
me.
or something? And I'm like, no, it's actually Benjamin Franklin. And it
Right.
was like a satirical cartoon that he had drawn.
Right. Yeah.
And
That's surprising that you said that. I figured that really most people would know that. But
well, I mean, I probably like would have never remembered that, but when I read about this Airbnb, this was like a old office for the distillery of James Pepper, and James Pepper, even though he was in Kentucky, was like best friends with Ben Franklin, and so his bottles would always say "Join or Die."
very cool. I'd love to see one of those.
I would
bottles,
love to
yeah.
as well, and I think that probably after like the golden age of cocktails was why this distillery revived, because
Sure.
it went out of business for like many years, and all of a sudden it's a booming
I love
little
it,
area
man.
if you see it. Like,
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, no, it has been booming a lot, hasn't it?
yeah,
Past
man.
like 6 years or so.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's actually been here like 11.
Well,
I think
here,
they've been
yeah.
doing this little thing for like 11.
Sure. I guess my experience with it, just
Yeah.
I feel like in the past like 5 or 6 years is really up.
Oh
and
yeah.
up, you know,
Because I mean, I think Ethereal's on like I think they just celebrated their 10th anniversary,
cool.
which is wild.
Yeah.
I've been drinking good Ethereal beer for like 8 of those years.
All right, cool. Little OG.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I never got into like Bud Light or Budweiser, and then I tried like a sour beer.
Oh, you like the sour?
Dude,
Yeah.
we used to do Sour Shuck Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a podcast that we did and shot it in that bathtub, and I
Okay.
wore swimming trunks
Okay.
and tried like 7 different beers and got a little bit.
Whoa. Got an adjustment here.
Thank you. Got a little bit too inebriated, and it was never released. So it's in the archives.
Wow.
If we ever hit it big, and we're
That's
like,
an interesting archive in the bathtub.
well, I had swimming trunks on.
Right.
It was appropriate for.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I mean, it still sounds good.
it was funny.
Yeah.
And I like at one point, actually like Stone Cold Austin some sour beers, which no one had ever done before.
I thought you were going to say you Stone Cold Stunnered somebody.
No, that would have been cool if I like did that into the bathtub, but they
right.
probably would have got hurt.
Yeah, they would have.
But I Stone Cold some beers, and they were sours, and no one had ever done that. I checked the history books.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? That makes sense.
No one would ever waste a sour.
Yeah.
Or they would like
They're
pour it
expensive.
out to not drink. Exactly.
Yeah,
It's because of the fact that they're expensive and for the brand.
Yeah, straight
Join or die.
up. Straight up. Yeah. Right
But
on.
I'm getting off track.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about some of your musical influences, because you talked a little bit about your writing influences, but like obviously the reason I know you is because you're a musician.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
kind of walk us through that.
Well, it's pretty diverse. I like a lot of country music. You know,
You have a Leonard Skinner shirt on.
I do have a Skinner shirt on. Yeah, I love Skinner.
Old school. That looks like literally like super vintage shirt.
It's actually not. It's
The
a
trim is what's getting me.
Live Nation shirt. It's a
Okay.
Live Nation shirt. I got it at Goodwill.
Fucking bastards.
I didn't give them money. I got it secondhand. But yeah, I like Skinner a lot. So I think I'm a big ballad guy. So I'd have to go Tuesday's Gone is my favorite Skinner song. I hate to be too mainstream about it, but so yeah, I like a lot of country music. I like a lot of rap. I like a lot of punk music. I've been in punk bands. I think a lot of my start was in DIY scenes and more like gritty shit. A lot of the first shows I went to were like post-hardcore shows, straight edge, like hardcore shows. You know what I mean? Like
Mosh pits and stuff.
yeah, I mean it's almost like mosh pit really doesn't even do it justice. Like
Okay, I guess I don't even know that.
windmill kicking and shit like that. Like I don't know if you've ever been to, but those were some of the first shows that I went to.
Yeah. So you learned to do that.
No, I never did. No, I never did. I always thought it was a little bit too much, but you know, I enjoyed the energy. And,
Yeah. People being expressive in their own like different artistic way in a way.
just that feeling that you get from heavy music, I think is really what I chase in any kind of music. And really influenced by a lot of different old time music, bluegrass music. Lyrically, I've been very influenced by traditional themes for sure, but also people like Kurt Cobain. I love the way that he phrases, and I was really influenced by Kurt Cobain when I started playing the guitar, and so it's sort of just, I can't really get away from it. It's not something that maybe everybody would notice if you were listening to my music, but perhaps if you do know, now that I've said it, maybe you would see it. But yeah, I really think that I would just give. I think he was one of the last contemporary artists that we have that opened any kind of door that we can even walk in.
That is pretty wild.
If that makes any sense to you.
Would you say Billy Strings could maybe be potentially along that line?
No, I wouldn't. I
Okay.
love Billy Strings a lot, and I relate to Billy Strings a lot, like his life and different places that he's been, even geographically. But no, I think that he's just like, you know, obviously an incredible player, one of the best players that we have given the world, I think, as a generation. Billy Strings is one of those. But no, I don't think that. No, I think it would be pretty hard to.
I feel that.
To put him, to say that he's like a. Maybe there's like a little bit of a Billy Strings
I guess I mean
mania.
a pioneer way, but like the way you're talking is like this dude literally just changed how things work.
I think he did.
You're like talking like he was Michael Jordan shit
I think he.
for the comparison.
Yeah, in some ways, I think like you look at a lot of Gen Z, even just like down to fashion. Yeah, I would say that Kurt Cobain's very short existence in the zeitgeist transformed everything. And yeah, I definitely was very influenced by that. I had younger parents, younger people bringing me up. My mom graduated high school in like 1990, so I was influenced by that. It's kind of like they were listening to like 90s music, you know what I mean? So I was, but I will say, like, the first song that I really remember listening to on the radio is like Wide Open Spaces. The Dixie Chicks is the first.
R.I.P. to.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's
What is
right.
that
Rest in
lady's
peace.
name?
I forget her name, but she was one of the original members.
Yeah.
She wasn't.
She was definitely singing that song though.
No, I don't think she
Nope.
was.
Dang. Okay. Sorry.
I
fake
might
news.
be wrong, but I think that that released after she was already out of the group. But yeah, so you know, a little bit
They
of
were great, though.
little bit of Dixie Chicks, a little bit of Nirvana, and that's kind of where I'm at.
I love that, dude.
Yeah.
I think that to be a good artist, though, you have to be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I've always been fortunate was my dad was always like, you have to try new things.
Yeah.
Like, it might not be what you necessarily always like, but if you do not, like, give it a chance, you'll never know.
Yep.
And so sometimes you might listen to Taylor Swift and Dixie Chicks, or I'm not saying you listen to Taylor Swift, but, dude, that lady knows how to write a song.
Hey,
Love her or
you know
hate
what?
her. She has written, like, every single piece of art that she has.
You think she's writing them?
I mean, she's at least getting credited for it.
Yeah, she might be, but
You think she's got a
certainly
ghostwriter?
not. I know that the Dixie Chicks wrote some of their songs.
Okay.
A lot of them were written by other people, but Taylor Swift's got nothing on the Dixie Chicks, bro.
As far as, like, a songwriter?
Well, just a performer and everything.
I
as far
agree.
as
I
I'm
would agree
concerned.
with that. You said as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I love that.
I gotta put on. You know?
I really like talking to you, man.
I like talking to you. Also.
I think I could talk to you for, like, hours.
I think we could. Yeah.
So obviously you like Dixie Chicks, you like Kurt Cobain, but you were talking to me a little bit earlier about all the instruments that you played. You said that
Excuse
you
me.
were very heavily influenced. You said you weren't like playing it, but you were heavily influenced by bluegrass, and all the instruments that you can play are
Yeah.
bluegrass.
Yeah, I play a lot of bluegrass instruments and sorry, excuse me.
You're good, man.
Went down the wrong way. Let me just set it aside. Phew.
Want some water?
I would love some water. Yeah, I'm all out. Here.
What's the joke?
Thank you.
Is there anything else I can get for you folks? Would you like like to see a menu?
Yeah, right.
Can I get a beer, Brad?
So, instruments.
If you don't mind, can I get a beer?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, kind sir.
Thank you, Brad.
The star is actually working for us right now. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
right. Yeah.
Can I get one of the tall ones? I think it's green.
Witness the citrus?
That works. That's fine.
Oh, no, I got the green one right here.
It's supposed to be a garage beer.
There you go.
I feel like this seems
Oh,
like a
crap,
garage
that is-
setting.
Jump with this.
Hello, Braxton's.
Oh!
Hey, hello.
An explosive entrance.
That's Braxton's is up in Covington.
Okay, so that's your neck of the woods.
A little bit, yeah.
Sheesh, we didn't know that was going to happen.
That's all right.
There you go. Wow. All right.
Thank you.
I didn't get sprayed. Thank you.
Thanks. Brad Becker.
All right, so instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started with the guitar pretty much when I was 11. I had a yearning to pick it up.
So the muse
Stand
called you
up.
early then.
I suppose so, yeah. I mean, I remember being a very, very little kid, actually. When I was probably about 5 or 6, I forget who gave it to me. I think it was my Nan Nan. If my family's listening to it, they'll know who Nan Nan is, and they can correct me if they want. But I think Nan Nan gave it to me. And it was like a little, like, first act electric guitar and a microphone with a stand. Yeah, I was about 5 or 6, and I can remember strumming on it, probably like open string, just banging on it, but writing songs about counting money at the Rabbit Hash General Store to get candy cigarettes.
Bad.
Bad? No,
Well, I
well,
mean-
candy. They were candy. Yeah.
No, but I mean,
I was
your
interested.
story,
Yeah.
your story, you were already like, candy cigarettes.
Right. Yeah. Well, they tasted good. But
Is that a song you have?
no,
It needs to be.
it could be. Yeah, I'll throw it in there. But yeah, so it was pretty early on, I guess.
That'd be it.
But I would say by the time I was like 11 or so, I was like, I needed a real guitar. And I happen to have a couple family members that are involved in music, seriously. One of them that was really close to me in proximity was my mom's uncle, Uncle Mike. And Uncle Mike technically he played for the Monkees. In the 60s, when they created the Monkees, they couldn't play the guitars. And so when the Monkees came to the greater Cincinnati area, my Uncle Mike would play the guitar behind the curtain. And so on stage, the Monkees were playing, but my Uncle Mike and like his band members or whatever were playing the Monkees music. So like I figure like Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Columbus, like around those areas. So when I was about 11, in order to get me to perform better in school, my mom was like, you can go and have guitar lessons with your Uncle Mike every Thursday. And so I picked up a ton from him. And he had an old Les Paul. He has an old Les Paul. What am I talking about? He showed me this amp that, he made in the 60s. It's like this little, what would look like a little like hip amp now, but it's just a tiny little, like, I think he made it out of like a transistor radio. I don't really know what that means, but
But that's what he said.
yeah, and it had that old school just like buzz to it.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
And he made it, and so I just like learned a ton from him, and he really is like a musician. And talking about his buddies that he had in the 60s, he said his drummer was the drummer, but you could drop a penny on the ground and the drummer would tell you what key it was in. And so this is the kind of stuff that like I really just wanted to be like, you know what I mean? So yeah, around 11 or so, really, that I just couldn't look back from there, I guess.
You mentioned percussion
So that's
earlier.
about 20 years.
Yeah. You had mentioned percussion earlier.
Yeah.
And I always think that when I think of percussion, I'm like, you said it was like everybody has a beat.
But
But you gotta
not
like
everyone
find
can play drums.
You play the drums.
Yeah.
But like I've found, maybe that's just me, but it was like I can remember literally like sitting there in my papa's truck and being like,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and it's like that was the first instrument I ever learned was
Straight
percussion.
up. Yeah, because we all have it, right?
Yeah, and I was like, man, there's like something in my body that just like knows
Yeah.
instinctually what is happening. And I was like, I don't think we instinctually know music, but whatever's going on, our brain knows how to like capacitate it and say, this is important to my soul, or like you said,
It's the rhythms of life, for real.
Yeah.
Just like being out in traffic, and there's always a beat. You'll never get away from it, whether it's the engine of a car, whether it's a checkout counter. There's always a beat. I think that rhythm, I really think about rhythm a lot when I'm writing, too. And I think that's part of that beat poet influence. Like, I'm always in the rhythm. My phrasing is rhythmic. Yeah.
I think you have a very distinct voice too. So like when you're telling a story, like people are like,
Oh,
you know what like it turns heads.
I'd like to be that. I'd like to grow to be that old man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope to be that someday.
I think that this is paraphrasing, but it was John Prine. He said his greatest goal in life was to be an old man.
Oh yeah, I've never heard that before, but I absolutely relate to that. Yeah.
That was like his greatest goal was like, I want to be old one day.
It's a privilege. Yeah. No, I totally relate to that. What a great thing. Yeah. Yeah, I love John Prine. I personally.
He's going to play a show.
I played that Prine show, the benefit show, put on by Grayson Jenkins.
Yeah.
Really loved playing it, meeting everybody. But yeah, as a teenager, I was never really influenced by John Prine. Never really was listening to John Prine. I heard of John Prine really in my early 20s, but never really poured over his work Yet I do find a lot of relatability and similarities with John Prine.
He's an incredibly human person.
Yeah, and I think as a musician, he perhaps was influenced by a lot of the things that I'm influenced by, and so I maybe wasn't directly influenced by him, but our influences are shared, and so yeah, when I did learn about him, I kind of had already developed my writing style.
So do you think that you would have been significantly more influenced by him then, had you listened
Maybe.
to him earlier?
Maybe
Because he is a poet, dude.
but it
He
also
very sorry to interrupt.
That's all right.
He very rarely, like, his songs and the content that his songs are sang about and the way that they're written are not like most songs.
Right.
Like, he probably rhymes like 3 times in a song.
But in a way, he is rhyming the whole time. Just
I
by
agree.
His phrasing.
Yes, I agree.
And
Which
you can
that's
tell
why I
that
was
he's
like,
a
the
student
poet.
of, he's a student of the beat poets and
Yeah.
student of folk music. I mean, I think he literally was a student of folk music. Like, didn't he go to a folk university or something like that in Chicago? Or
I could see that.
I don't even know, but I'm pretty sure that he literally was, and you can really hear it. Like, so many of Prine's songs are so Dylan-esque, and I say Dylan-esque because I don't know what else, very Dylan-esque, and I think you can tell that he really was a student of that.
He's what I always like to hear when I like have a band I really like to listen to. There will be like occasionally there'll be someone be like, they're a musician's musician.
Yeah, he's a songwriter.
Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely.
And that's just like, that always is like an endearing. Got the
There it
train
is.
going
Yeah.
by. I think that's an endearing compliment
It is.
because it's like,
It takes longer
yeah,
to be appreciated.
it does. Yeah, unfortunately, you might hate this, but I said generally, if I'm a fan of you, that means that you probably have not made a lot of money yet.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
I was like, it's
Well, there's
not,
a lot of us, especially in Lexington, man. We were talking about it earlier. Just there's so much lyricism going on in this region that, there's
It's like almost oversaturated, but in a good way. Because it's
In a
not
good
like
way.
it's not like shitty. It's not like tons
Yeah.
of shitty music like what you maybe would hear in Nashville. But
Sure.
like,
yeah. And I think that it changes anyway. I think that it changes. So in a couple years, that is what you're going to hear in Nashville.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think that you see that already. And I'm not trying to put anything on blast, but just different artists now.
Yeah.
I think you can see that are kind of riding that sort of like independent appearance, but really are, not
Industry plant.
in a way, but I don't want to go that far. But
I know. I've just heard that word.
but yeah, Nashville, I'd say probably will sound like that, in a couple
Yeah.
years if it doesn't already. But so certainly oversaturation is a concern of mine when I'm participating. I try not to release a lot. I try not to have a lot to say because I feel like these days it's important to be quiet. And if that takes me, as an artist inherently, I do want people to see my work. Notoriety maybe is a bad word to put on it. I'd like to have a nicer word than notoriety. But as an artist inherently, I do want that. But
Everybody wants to be respected, man. I never am going to hate
Sure.
on someone that's like,
But-
I've put in. I mean, you've been playing guitar since you were 11.
yeah, but
Like, at some point
I'll
you're
wait
like-
forever. I'll wait forever. I don't, and
Some of the, I mean, like one of the oldest Buddha, Buddha, like the monk, like one of the oldest reincarnations of him was like 80 or something like that. And it's like,
okay,
he had lived his whole life, and then someone was like, dude, you're Buddha.
yeah,
And he was like, I'm not saying that you'll be that, but,
sure.
but
That would be hard
it's
to
like,
be Buddha.
Dude, I
That'd be
cannot
crazy.
imagine being
Listen,
like,
man, if I was sitting here and I was Buddha,
you're the enlightened one.
yeah, no, that'd be crazy.
It would be. that would be a significant amount of pressure. That's why those dudes always have to be praying and stuff, because they're like, man, I got so much pressure on my
That's true.
shoulders.
Yeah, that's a lot of holiness. Yeah.
That is.
But no, I just mean like I would rather not add to the noise
Yeah.
than
You don't want to be a part of the matrix,
That's-
essentially.
in some ways, yeah. In some ways for sure. I'd rather not release anything than just be the last, just be the too much on top.
Yeah, I feel that, man.
And I
think
really
that's very
think
respectful.
I think that really is the case, and I think that there's so many talented people that I see left and right these days, because that's where we are as a society. And not
Instant gratification is like,
it's killing a lot of people.
it is, man. It's an addiction.
Yeah, it's
in a
killing
capacity,
killing
like
a
a
lot of
certain
good stuff.
capacity.
Yeah.
People need to be. Something I literally hate asking musicians actually is, when's your next album going to come out? I just don't. I generally don't
That's a
even
good
ask
question,
that.
though. I hope to have a self-titled album, because
Well-
really I've only released demos and EPs, like more like practice runs, or like I've done live stuff that I've like ripped on MP3.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd like to do a self-titled. I would like to get into a nice studio. I do a lot of home recording, and I
Mm-hmm.
love doing that. But kind of where I'm at is where I need a studio recording. So I would
You're
like
like-
to do that soon.
In some capacity, have hit like a plateau.
Sort of. Yeah,
And there's
but
nothing wrong with that. Like literally,
it's just sort of
Bruce-
like the next place to
Yeah.
go. And so I have been thinking about that a lot. A couple folks that I've talked to that I might do that, but I really just want it to be the right time and the right atmosphere, because this art that I do is pretty important to me. And after years of doing it, it's taken me a while to realize that, like, if it's important to you, you really should just sit on it, and you should foster it and take care of it, and get older with it, and I really enjoy doing that, and I have found a lot of self-gratification doing that.
yeah.
And I feel safe in that. But yeah, I would say it is probably about time to do that, and I hope to do that this year. But if I don't, I don't. I don't. Yeah, I really have nothing to promote right now, for real.
Dude.
I think I'm playing a festival in the spring, which is a pretty good festival. I'm super stoked to go and do that. But other than that, yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know when the lineup's being, so I won't say. But yeah, I'm doing that in the spring, and I'm stoked to do that. And other than that, I really don't have much going on, other than just living, and that's.
But according to you, that's when you like make the best music that you make. When
Yeah.
you're just living.
Well, I think that's when the best art is made. And actually, my girlfriend is an artist, and she's
Like a
vi-
musician artist, or
she's
like,
a visual artist.
okay.
She was a sculptor and made clothing and things like that. And she told me one time that her best art now is just our life. And I think that also speaks to kind of
Damn.
where we're at in society. Is like, as an artist,
That's really deep.
maybe the best art that you can make is just being someone who's not pushing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's where art should go now, just not pushing anything, and not to say that you shouldn't create anything, but yeah, I think that the pendulum swings, right? So, but yeah,
All right, Edgar.
that really, when she said that to me, I was like, well, damn, yeah, that's a really good way to put that. Like,
Seriously.
yeah.
Like-
Shout out, Ellen. That's
Ellen.
a very insightful thing to say. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, I think that's like incredibly deep, because it's like, I heard a quote about love, and it was like, true love is to love without expectations. And that's
Sure,
kind of
sure.
like what art is.
Sure. Hmm.
And so, like, she's just like, you should just make art just because you want to make it. If a million people see it, or just you see it, that's,
And if that art is
damn, that's
getting
deep.
up and making that perfect pot of coffee, and thinking that super positive thing,
Mhm.
I think that maybe we should move to a place of more condensed thought.
I don't know who Ellen is, but she seems deep.
She's smart as hell, bro. Yeah, yeah, she is deep. Yep.
That's awesome. Dude, well, like, obviously you're right. You play music. Your girlfriend's a visual artist. Do you do art, any other forms of art, or
Yeah.
the living art that we just clearly
Sure. Yeah.
talked about? But like, media-wise, like, are there some other forms? Are you painting? Are you writing stories?
I would like to write more like that. I'm working on elongating my attention span again, but
This guy was in high school 5 years and says words like elongated.
elongated, is that a big one for you? All
I
right.
mean, I don't think a lot of people that I know would use that word.
Okay, yeah. I'm a little bit of a nerd, I guess, yeah. But I'm trying to elongate my attention span.
All right.
And when I was in high school, I did paint. Kind of art class was the only thing that I was good at, and I would skip class. My art room at Royal High School, they had a dark room. I'd bring my guitar to school and skip class and hang out in the dark room, and my art teacher would kind of let me hole up, so I'd skip math class or skip my opening period, and sometimes she would get some heat from it.
But she knew she was like, I'm
was,
honing a incubating spot that is he's gonna
guess so.
develop the skills that he needs.
Yeah, so I would go and hang out there, play the guitar. I did a lot of painting, a lot of canvas painting. I had a camera and used the dark room. So, yeah, I really do enjoy physical art, and as I've gotten older, I've found that building creates that same feeling for me. Even if it's just building a rectangle raised garden bed, I feel very creative about it. So I don't really paint much anymore, but I would like to. I've actually been thinking about it more. If I were to have some New Year's resolutions, maybe I'll put that on it. But yeah, I do like.
I don't feel like you're a New Year's resolutions kind of guy, though.
I am pretty hokey.
Okay.
Yeah, I can get pretty corny.
Yeah, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, no,
because I don't feel like that at all. I feel like you're
really-
like kind of like.
No, I can get pretty traditional.
But you are also like true to the game.
I guess so.
Like of all the games, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm a traditionalist.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I really am. Yeah.
I think people are going to really like this episode. You're a very interesting dude.
I hope
will
they
definitely
can
be
follow it.
asking you
I
to
hope
come
they
back
can
on.
follow it for 30 seconds at a time. I hope that I've not been just everywhere. But
I've tried to let you just talk because I think
Right.
that you have interesting things to say.
I
Sometimes
appreciate
I have
it,
to
bro.
talk a little bit more. I just interrupt you right there, but
No.
I just sometimes I have to interject. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
But dude, I feel like I could just be like,
We're hanging out, bro. I mean,
Yeah,
we're just hanging out right
truly.
now, for real.
I think
Yeah,
that-
thank you for having me on, man. This has
No,
been a lot of
seriously.
fun, and getting to see this. I didn't know what I was coming to when you said it was above Goodfellas.
I was like,
wasn't sure, but this is really nice.
dude, I brought all this stuff up by myself, and we were talking to Brad earlier, and I have sciatica. I'm getting old, and but it's not been bothering me. But I was bringing all this stuff up, and traditionally I go to the gym like 4 to 5 days a week,
Oh, cool.
and dude, I haven't been to the gym in like 3 months
Really? Wow.
because my back's been just that
No
messed
kidding.
up. I got an MRI, found out I have scoliosis. Was like, well, that's weird. But anyway, so I've not really been in the gym a lot. And so I was like bringing all this stuff up. And I was like, man, like, I can tell.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I was like winded, but it was just like physically carrying things.
Yeah, you
Because
got
like my cardiovascular stuff was still good, but it was just like, yeah,
It's tough, bro.
windy.
Yeah. The older you
there's
get,
like 3 flights of stairs,
yeah.
big metal stairs.
I'd like to be consistent in the gym.
Dude,
I do have a weight
it's
bench at my
life-changing.
house. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like medicine that you don't have to take, but it's good for you.
Dude, I mean, you just got to be active, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just got to feel that.
I always say movement is medicine.
It really is. It for real is. Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that people in Japan live so freaking long.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
They're busy.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
always walking to like, even if it's to their transportation, they're like moving in some way.
Absolutely. Yeah. My mamaw, I think she lived to like 86. My papa lived a lot longer, but
Longer than 80? A lot longer than 86?
Yeah, I think he lived to 93. Papa
Okay.
Skaggs lived to 93.
I guess when you're like,
he was
that is
loving
a
it,
lot
bro.
longer.
He must have been liking it a lot, right?
yeah.
But yeah, she never stopped moving. She cooked an early breakfast, 5 in the morning, and it seemed like until she died, you know. And it just that's the way to live, man.
Yeah.
Keeps you going. Yeah.
I almost feel like people that age will live like a significant amount longer because they did just move a lot.
Hey, man, I feel like if you're just excited to be there. You know?
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if they were always excited, but they just like,
Yeah.
they knew how to move through the motions.
Right.
And like, they were like, I mean, like
Well,
Charles
we'll find
Wesley
out.
Godwin was on like Joe Rogan's podcast, and
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw that. I haven't seen the podcast, but I did see he was on there.
he was talking about how his dad like had to like climb through these mines, and it was just like that was just a normal day.
Where's
in,
that?
Like, in right outside of Morgantown, West Virginia.
Okay.
And they were like, he was like essentially climbing through like 2-foot
Yeah.
holes sometimes.
Hell no. No way.
No, yes, exactly.
No way.
And he was just like, that was just another day
Yeah.
in the holler.
Yeah, straight
And I'm
up.
like, hell
Straight
no.
up, straight up, yeah.
Like
I could barely be in the kiddie slides. I'm so claustrophobic, bro. No way.
did you ever get stuck in the like McDonald's kiddie slides here in Kentucky?
No, but I would have been.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I
There was like the
guess.
food courts with McDonald's.
Yeah, I was in playgrounds all the time.
Excellent.
Yeah. What do you mean? That was everywhere, right?
I didn't know like there was this one chain that was in like Stanton
Yeah.
and in McGoffin County and in Morgan
Well,
County.
that's still there in Stanton. They still have.
It is still
They
there.
still have the play
The
place.
fact that you know that.
I lived in Stanton.
Oh crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
I lived in Stanton for about a year.
Were you trying to be a gorge guy?
No, I wasn't trying to be a gorge guy.
You don't try to do stuff.
We were
My
living
bad.
in Lexington.
Okay.
And I actually found a job
Okay.
in the gorge. I was just looking for a better job. We were talking earlier about Proud Mary. I'd been working at Proud Mary.
Okay.
And my girlfriend and I were just like looking for something different. And I saw a job for a camping company online for the gorge, for Stanton. And I knew enough about Stanton. I'd been there plenty of times. So I just applied to it and we got it. And we found a place to live. And we just worked and maintained some cabins there for about a year. And we were actually there when COVID hit, and were relatively unaffected because we worked outdoors. And it's interesting, actually, right in the thick of it, there were some folks from New York City that came down to the cabins. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we were totally unaffected. People were coming from wherever.
Yeah.
And I was a little concerned, to be honest with you. I had to clean the cabins after them.
Yeah, you were like,
And they
man,
were-
am I
they
going to
were-
get the
They were
Rona?
coming from fucking New York City, you know.
From New York City, yeah. that's
straight
like-
up.
That's
But-
not Stanton.
Yeah, no. It's so we were pretty unaffected.
You could generally just. We already socially distance in Eastern
Yeah.
Kentucky or most
Right.
rural communities
yeah,
anyway.
no. I mean, you can't get. And yeah, well, I mean, we went to Kroger every day, and everybody else did. We wore masks, but
You all were patient zero technically in Eastern Kentucky then.
well, I didn't get COVID.
That's good. I didn't either.
Yeah, all
At
right,
least
cool.
yet.
Cool. Yeah.
Probably will at some point because it's going to be here for a minute.
You may have, and you just don't know.
I got antibody tested and I've never had it.
Really? Well, I don't know, man. It seems to be everywhere.
I like ate gum off of like a rail from
I
New
just
York
assumed
one
that-
time and
No, you
still didn't
didn't.
get. No, I didn't.
My buddy the elf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still didn't get the Rona though.
Well,
Dude, if he could eat that and not get it, then whatever.
buddy the elf.
I know that's a fictional character, but
Well, I mean,
he lived through
we're-
that entire movie.
Hey, you know what? This year was the 20th anniversary for that movie.
No
What do you think about
freaking
that?
way.
Oh yeah, that's right. 20 years.
No.
Uh huh. That's right.
It came out in 2003.
Let that wash right over you, bro. You're old. 20
You
years
said
ago.
let that watch. I have sciatica.
What?
Sciatica.
What is that?
Dude, your sciatic nerve is like your biggest nerve in your leg, in your body.
What's that got to do with Buddy the Elf?
That's why I know I'm old.
Oh, okay. You got sciatica. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
No, I mean, he probably has it too.
I didn't
now,
know
for
what
sure.
sciatica was. You guys were talking about it earlier. I just
It's
didn't
it's a common thing that us humans deal with. You'll
start
learn.
to get. Yeah. All right.
You'll learn at age 30.
Sort of
30.
like erectile
Okay.
dysfunction.
Okay.
I haven't had to experience that one yet. Thank
I
God.
haven't either. Yeah, I haven't either. Yeah. But you know, there's a time for everything. So
Apparently mushrooms help with that, so I'm going to keep taking those.
really, okay.
Not the psychedelic ones, but
Oh, just regular mushrooms.
but I mean, if those happen, then legally.
Yeah, there's tons of benefits to eating mushrooms. I actually have not ever liked mushrooms my whole life, but I have tripped on mushrooms. My grandmother
I've tripped on them.
is very interested in mushrooms medicinally, so I've gotten a little more interested, and I got her like a mushroom book for Christmas.
Have you ever heard of Paul Stamets?
Oh yeah, Mushroom Man.
Yeah. He alleged that he had like this horrible like he had a stutter and like needed to go to like speech therapy, and when he was in like 7th grade he went to the forest and ate like a quarter of mushrooms by mistake. He thought he was eating an eighth and he stopped stuttering.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he saw this like lightning storm and it scared him so bad that he was like, I don't need to worry about anything other than stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's
And I was like,
interesting.
but now he is like he's a
Yeah.
many degrees in like mycelium.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's definitely pretty interesting. I haven't done anything like that for probably like 5 or 6 years, but I do subscribe to the stoned ape theory a little bit.
I could see that.
It definitely makes a lot of sense to me.
It does
So
me too.
I know that when I did first trip like that, I certainly afterward experienced some push into maturity in some facets of my life, but
I did too.
I haven't done it in quite a while. So.
If you're not familiar with the stoned ape theory, essentially what happened was at some point animals would drop shit and then the monkeys would follow them and would eat the fungus that was growing out of the shit.
Yeah.
And that there's at some point where they can show that there was this massive amount of human or brain growth which led to us here today, potentially.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
And it's referred to as the stoned ape theory
Makes a lot
because
of
it
sense.
is around the exact same time that they started consuming these mushrooms.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're like, I mean, it would be really insane if it was not correlation.
Yeah, that to me is almost a no-brainer, but
Me too.
It's going to take a while for something like that to be really like accepted. But I do think that probably is what happened.
It just really makes sense, like you said.
It really does, yeah. Yeah.
It's like if evolution is what it is,
Uh-huh.
that would be what would make sense for that. Because it's like there's no other species.
Well, it's certainly an accelerant
Yeah.
for us today.
I mean, like you said, it's just like you yourself have experienced a level of maturity from your own personal experience with that. I myself also the same way.
Yeah.
It's like I was a really immature shithead. And then was like, what is this?
Yeah, it just changes some things in you.
It does, yeah.
It makes different things click.
And we're not
sometimes.
saying do that.
Right. No, I mean, yeah, definitely not.
No.
I wouldn't say to do anything. You know what I mean? Do what you do. But,
Do what you do.
Yeah. Stoned ape, possibly.
Just check out that.
Yeah, right.
Is it who is the person that came up with that? Was it
Don't know. I'll
okay?
go to
We
it.
don't know. It's off the tip of my tongue. It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
That makes plenty of sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Duh.
It was McKenna.
Yeah.
Yes,
Eye in the
Brad
sky.
Baker. The eye in the sky.
Yeah.
The ultimate producer.
Yeah.
Google. Oh, okay.
Right.
Is that what?
No, I was looking it up.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was.
No, but I was just very curious about it.
Dennis and Terrence McKenna have both been pretty like they like subscribed, like you said.
Oh,
and,
sure.
And
Yeah.
it's like it just
It's interesting.
it is.
Makes
it's very
a lot of sense
interesting.
to me.
It does me too. But dude, I feel like that's a great place to kind of end. Just a mind fuck. People are gonna be like, "What? What
Hey,
the hell?" are
end
they
on a
talking about?
Google. Yeah.
Yes, end on a Google.
End on a little. Yeah, Google that for sure.
Yeah. So we are going to be actually shooting some music. I know that Jay said like he's like not got anything as far as other than his self-titled album, but he's not promoting anything currently other than one festival that I know about. It's going to be awesome.
I do have music
Props on
on
that.
Spotify.
I know that. So I was going to say, but Will you please promote what you do have
Sure.
out?
Yeah, I have music on Spotify. I have a single called Big River 2, which I recorded with my buddy Austin Tracy. We recorded it in my house. We had a couple musicians come on. Alden Oldfield plays
Love
pedal steel, you know. Yeah, he plays on it. So that's like it's pretty studio quality recording on Spotify. And then I also have a compilation of some live stuff I did. Some songs from Seed Time Festival, some songs from Red Barn, and one song that I recorded at home by myself. So yeah, check it out. Check it out for sure. It's gotten a pretty good amount of streams. I feel like this past spring was the first time I've been on Spotify ever, my first time. So I'm looking forward to putting more on there for sure eventually.
Do you have a place? Do you have merch that like, or a place people can find that for you? Or?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, like if you go to my Instagram, you can Instagram me. I've got a weird Instagram name that I've had since I was like 18 years old. It's actually a Harry Potter reference, Marvelo.
I've always wondered why
That's Harry Potter, yeah.
I've always wondered where
Yeah,
that came from.
Right. Now, I've just had it since I was a teenager, so I just keep it. But if you do search Jay Skaggs on Instagram, my icon is a disco ball. So that's usually what I tell people, and that works out. I'm the disco ball.
He is the disco ball.
Yeah.
He is the shining object. Hey, did you actually know that Louisville, Kentucky is the disco ball capital of the world?
Is that where it was created?
I don't know if that's where it's created, but that's the main place it's manufactured.
Cool. No, I didn't know that.
Yep.
But yeah,
I went and watched.
right here in Kentucky, disco
I went and
balls.
watched Carambin.
What's that?
Carambin or Crambin. They're like my favorite band, but I
Okay.
literally can never pronounce them right.
Wow, I don't know what.
But I saw them at Railbird like 3 years ago, and they have a song. They have actually like an EP with Leon Bridges.
Okay, cool.
If you ever hear him playing with like a full band, generally that's who it is.
All right.
And I took my parents. I bought my parents Christmas tickets for their Christmas gift. I was like, I'm going to take you all to the best show you've ever seen. And we went to the Louisville Palace. If you've never been there,
No, I haven't.
cannot recommend it enough. It's like my favorite place to watch a show in Kentucky. Super intimate, but like still like visually appealing. But there was this huge disco ball turning during the show, and my friend from Louisville turns around and goes, "Did you know that Louisville's the disco ball capital of the world?" And we Googled it, and I
Wow.
was like, "You're not bullshitting."
Yeah.
They're also the prop capital of the world, so there's a lot of props that are
really?
made there. So,
Oh, okay.
but
Well, Kentucky's cheap.
cheap. We got good horse racing. We got good bourbon. We've had some good beer. Jay is going to play us some good music.
Yeah, we got a ton of good music.
You have
in
anything
Kentucky.
else you want to say before we leave?
No, not really. I mean, you can follow me on Instagram, follow my Spotify.
The disco ball,
Yeah,
Marvelo.
follow the disco ball, and no, that's about it. I mean, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I feel like we're shooting the shit a little bit.
We were, yeah,
Hopefully, people can sift through it. You know?
yeah.
You might
They'll
need
be
to,
like clips.
right. Yeah, you might need to edit it down a little bit, maybe.
I never do that.
Cool. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No. I've just enjoyed the conversation. I'm looking forward to playing.
All right. Well, cheers, man. I appreciate
Cheers.
you. If you're listening to What the Shuck podcast or you're watching What the Shuck podcast, make sure you check out Jay Skaggs and all of his music that's going to be coming out or is out. He has a self-titled album that he's going to be working on, and he has a big announcement for the festival to be playing out. You will probably be seeing that around the time that this actually comes out. So we won't announce it, but we're really excited about that. And yeah, man, I really appreciate you for coming on. Make sure you subscribe to the What the Shuck podcast if you haven't yet. It really means a lot to us. It really helps us to get more people like Jay on the podcast, and hopefully one day the champ back here, Brad Becker. We have some really, really incredible podcasts scheduled for this year. We're going to be doing a little bit more stuff, not just music this year. Not that we like got stuck on music, but we're just trying to open our horizons and invite more people to find out what's really going on in Kentucky and Appalachia. For everybody that helped with Appalachian Pioneer Program's Christmas project this past Christmas, thank you so much. We were able to distribute over $10,000, and we actually have another $2,000 that's going to be distributed here in the next few weeks for the What the Shuck podcast and for Appalachian Pioneer Program. And that was made possible by you all, the listeners and the followers and the people that have helped us do stuff with Appalachian Pioneer Program. So thank you so much. and live the dream.